Hey, what's going on, you guys? JPB Productions here, and today I'm going to be reviewing episode 2 of Survivor 43. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each player, and while I'm going into them, I'm going to try and remember certain things about the episode. I'll probably end up forgetting some things, but yeah, here we go. Okay, so first person I'm going to talk about is Gio. Gio, he had a much bigger episode this time around. He had like a really long segment talking about his story, and it all ends with him finding one almond in a tree, and them just showing like how like camp life is really difficult because you have to work really hard to get like the smallest almond. So he had like this really like emotional story, which I don't know. I like he might be in the game for a very long time because of that. I mean, maybe he's going to be in the game for a long time just because he's someone who is getting a lot of screen time now and given a lot of emotional coverage. So I think Gio might be in a good spot for a while, if I'm being real. So that's how I feel about that. Janine. So we didn't see much from Janine again. She got way too little screen time in the first episode, and in this episode, it was a lot more fair, her edit. We still didn't get much from her. But we basically saw her I talking with Ellie and Sammy about or Owen about whether or not Gabler's idol is good for the two tribal councils of the game or good for his next two tribal councils. We didn't really get to see much from Ellie. We did get to see, though, her showing her relationship with Ellie and showing that she is very close to Ellie, and them saying, kind of in a cocky manner, like, we're the only ones playing the game. The guys aren't playing the game, and then it just cuts to like the three guys saying men or whatever. They were talking about or like entertaining the thought of having an all guys alliance. Just because it was pretty clear that without doing that, Ellie and Janine were going to be the swing votes. So yeah, not sexist by any means, but it would definitely appear that without them doing that, Ellie and Janine would be in the best spot on that tribe. So yeah, that's kind of what we saw with Janine, just kind of like a cocky moment there. I don't even know. James, we didn't get, I don't think, anything from James. After the second episode, I think that his odds of winning the game go down for me. I think after the first episode, I was thinking this guy could be in it for a while. He'll probably not win, but there's definitely a shot. He's going to be in it for a while. After this episode, I don't think so. I think they would have given him a little bit more coverage. So yeah, I was a bit surprised with his edit, but what can you do? So yeah, he's not a winner contender for me anymore. NECA. So first person I'm going to talk about that actually went to the tribal council. So NECA's name came up, and after the immunity challenge, we have Noel in a confessional saying NECA's weak, she needs to go. As soon as she said that, I knew NECA was not going home. There was no way that NECA was going to go home. Not a chance. Usually that person doesn't go home when their name is thrown out by the first confessionalist right after a challenge. I mean, every once in a while, like War Dog saying, maybe Keith should go home right after the second immunity challenge of Edge of Extinction. That was like an outlier, and there's been many other outliers. But for the most part, that first name thrown out right after the challenge, that person just never goes home. So, yeah, I didn't particularly think that NECA was going to go home. Yeah, it's just kind of how I feel about that. So we ended up going back to camp, and we didn't get much from NECA. She's just not getting much context within the game, and I'm starting to think it could be because she's a pre-merge boot, but she survives this vote, but maybe they lose one more time and she's an easy vote at that point, like I thought she'd be coming into the season, or maybe they lose 2 times and she just goes home the second time. I don't really know, but she wasn't given very much coverage. Like, they didn't really hype her up to be like this underdog person that you'd root to have stay. Even though I do think that I personally wanted NECA to stay and I wanted Justine to go home. Actually, out of all the 6 on that tribe, I was happy Justine went home, even though I was a little bit surprised. I didn't think Justine would go home this early at all coming into the season. I really didn't. So, yeah, NECA, she didn't get much, content. I don't really know what happened. She didn't do very well in the challenge, clearly. Socially, she has a very good bond with Cody, pretty good bond with Jesse, and I think that everybody else just doesn't really know where she stands. I think that's ultimately why her name came up. So yeah, NECA ended up surviving. I think it was because of her I think it's mainly because she actually was able to see that Cody and Jesse have a lot more. Like Cody, they're just flat out underestimating. He's going to be in the game for a while. Could win. I actually do believe that I do think Cody can still win. Even with the edit he's been getting, I think there's a shot. And then Jesse is like in control of that tribe. He slayed the episode 2. He did phenomenal, I think. So yeah, Jesse's in a really good spot. But yeah, like as for NECA, I think NECA just recognized that would inevitably be the case, and building a connection with Cody and Jesse was a really good move because they're in the power position in that tribe, which I think that ultimately resulted in, which I actually was a bit surprised Dwight's name wasn't on the table more. We can talk about that later. But I think that just Noel being a little bit too connected with Justine and not like branching out, I think really did cost her. And like Cody you could make the same argument for, but the difference between Cody is that Cody also has a really good relationship with Jesse, and we saw that tonight. In episode 1 it really did seem like, okay, Cody and NECA are vibing. Due to NECA's minimal screen time, I wasn't really sure why, but Cody and NECA were a duo. And then we saw in this episode that Cody and Jesse were also tight. So I think that if I'm looking at the grand scheme of things, NECA, I wasn't exactly sure why she stayed, other than her relationship with Cody and Jesse. I think that's what really helped her with this vote. So next up we have Carla. Did Carla get screen time tonight? Not tonight, on Wednesday night. I don't even remember, honestly. Did she? I don't remember anything about her. Well, she had a very strong first episode, but yeah, I'm not talking about that. I don't think Carla got much screen time. I mean, we know that she has relationships with everybody on the tribe, but we didn't get much from her. So my opinion on her hasn't really changed. She's in a good spot on that tribe, on Coco, but I can't really say much other than that. So yeah, next week I'm going to talk about Jesse. Phenomenal episode. Jesse really did come out tonight. And what was super interesting is I kind of saw him as this really like even-keeled, nonchalant individual after the first episode, where I was kind of like looking at this dude and I was like, okay, he has a very interesting story. I like him a lot, but he seems like a nice guy. That's it. So he has this amazing story, very David-esque story. He is a nice guy. That'll help him in the game. But that's all he got. Wrong. He is very strategic savvy, man. He is very, very strategic savvy. He was on this tribe and he just knew everything. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like every season with a 3-tribe starting format, you have that one person in each tribe that is just so well set up with nothing to worry about. And I think Jesse's definitely that person on this Fessy tribe. He has nothing to worry about. He's going to be a big character on this season, big player. He's going to be in it for a while. Still don't think he'll win. It actually seems a little bit too obvious so early on. That's why I don't think that he can. So I don't really have him as a winner contender, but he doesn't have to win. I mean, I don't need him to win. I'm actually usually okay with like a surprising winner, unless it's like Chris Underwood. But any other surprising winner, I'm okay with. I don't think that a winner necessarily defines the quality of a season. But Jesse, like, he had his hands in every cookie jar. He played the middle beautifully, and I think Noel was shocked. And I think if Jesse decided he wanted to side with Justine and Noel, Cody and NECA would have been shocked. NECA goes home and Cody's shocked. So Jesse just was perfectly in the middle, where you literally have, like, people were letting him be in the middle. And then you just have Justine and Noel going right to him. Nobody considered killing the swing vote. Wasn't even in consideration whatsoever. Nobody considered doing that because everyone genuinely felt good with Jesse. Like, we got Jesse. Jesse knows how to play the middle. A lot of the big mistake that a lot of people make is they'll plant themselves right in the middle and they'll say to both sides, I'm the swing vote here. I don't really know. I'm teeter-tottering, which is how Will Wall played the middle. Wrong. Tony and Lucina play the middle excellently because they actually make both sides think that they are with them, and they're able to make a move, and this is what I think Jesse's going to be able to pull off. Make a move, betray a bunch of people, come back to camp, and then make things up somehow. When you blindside somebody, it's not super easy to do that, but I do think Jesse's really good at that, and I think that he's someone that's in a very, very good spot on this tribe with nothing to worry about. His odds of making merge are 100%. His odds of making final 5 are, I'm not going to label a percentage, but really, really high. He's in a good spot. He's in a good spot. So yeah, Jesse, he's in complete control of that tribe. I don't think I need to say anything else. I mean, Cody trusted Jesse enough to tell him about the Beware advantage, and Cody was pissed in confessionals, but he did his best and did a lot of groundwork. And a lot of people gave Cody a lot of credit for that. I give Jesse a lot of credit too. Like Jesse did a little bit of the subtle influencing that maybe Cody wasn't going to be as able to do. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Next up, we have Cody. I'm going to just go right to Cody. Okay, so Cody is someone who he had a phenomenal episode. I mean, he was the big character of this episode. You know, he has this whole segment of how he wants to have fun, and Dwight throws out his name, and then Cody's name just completely got thrown off the table. He did get a vote at the tribal council, but I don't really think much of it. I think that the reason behind doing that is, I think, if I'm correct, I think they did that so that they were expecting 5 votes to be cast, and I think that Justine and Noel decided that together that one of them should throw a vote on someone else, so Cody. I think the reason behind doing that was so that if there was if the numbers are considered to be 3-2 with Cody and NECA being a duo, you could make it potentially 2-2-1, and then by doing that, if Cody votes NECA like maybe he said that he would, then there's the chance that if NECA uses the shot in the dark, if hypothetically she'd be getting majority vote, then there's a chance, if it hits, that Cody would maybe go home. Weirdest logic ever. I can't think of any other reason why that would be the case. I mean, a whole bunch of people were just like asking, and Survivor 42, why the hell did Chanel vote for Mike at that Daniel vote? Like it's probably a similar thing, just like the sense of it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I don't know. So Cody did get a vote, but he found that Beware advantage. We saw him living. He was like jumping off the cliff, and yeah, we saw him find the Beware advantage, and he was able to pull it off. He pulled it off. He told Jesse, who I think might be his closest ally now instead of NECA, and he was able to pull it off. And oh my gosh, the editing, like the vote reveal, like the editors did something really cool and really unique, where they basically they read the votes, and it was a bit cringe on one hand, but at the same time so unexpected that I kind of liked it. Like there was one vote left, and Jeff was like, he read 4 votes, and I was expecting him to say after the 4th vote was read, no votes left. Potentially saying something like that, and then Jeff said 1 vote left, and then they cut to the scene of Cody being able to get those final beans, which they left out of the edit. We saw a similar editing tactic to this in Survivor 41 and 2, where you have Xander giving his idol to Tiffany with his flashback, and then in Survivor 42, Mike giving it to Omar, which Omar should have kept, but that's for a different video. Never gonna make that video, but. So yeah, we got like another cut of that where like Jeff said like, oh, we're going to let you know about things before the players know in Survivor 41. That's how we're going to change things and break the 4th wall. They've done anything but that. They've actually not let us in some ways, including that way. But it was cool just because it was unexpected. Like you just didn't expect that. And you know, you knew Justine was 100% going to go home right after the whole flashback happened. Yeah. So Justine gets voted out. Probably my least favorite on that tribe because of the edit and her placement. That's it. If she had actually made it further in the game, she would have been higher up there, I think. But I think the editors just didn't want to invest in her too much because she was just going to go home anyways. So next person I'm going to talk about, Dwight. Why is Dwight in such a good spot? Well, how did that happen? Like after the first episode, my winner pick, I'm not going to be super egotistical here. Dwight ain't winning this game. He's not going to win this game. After the first episode, he was given like this dodo edit that he probably didn't even deserve. Because we saw in this episode, Dwight, like, he's fine. Like, he is fine. There are 6 people on the tribe. He is just stay with me here. I actually think Dwight is playing okay. I think he's not going to win, and maybe he's going to like do something dumb in the future that will result in him going home just because it's edit in the first episode. The editors are having fun with him. They're making fun of him. But on this Bessie tribe, he's fine. He really is. NECA got a vote and almost went home. Her name was out there heavily. Justine actually went home. Cody got a vote. And then you have Noel, who was left out of the vote and was pretty surprised. And you have Jesse, who people are a little bit more mad at because, well, Noel only now. And then, yeah, Dwight, who they didn't let in. So Jesse pissed off 2 people, Dwight and Noel. And we saw, like, Dwight turned around and he was like, why didn't you tell me? And then Jesse's like, we'll talk. So Jesse, he has damage control to do, but yeah, he pissed off 2 people. Dwight didn't have a vote. He was the easiest vote ever, and he was totally safe, and he's leaving this tribal council with no animosity with anyone. So Dwight's an interesting one to me. I mean, he is my winner pick, and if he wins this game after being the person who looked the worst in the first episode, Mariah looked better than Dwight. Mariah didn't even look that bad, but my point is she got voted out. Just from like an editing standpoint, they made Dwight look like a complete buffoon in the first episode. Like, he didn't deserve that. And like we saw in this episode, he's okay. He's in a good spot, I think. So I think he's making merge. I actually doubted that at one point, but no, I think Dwight is like, he's someone that we're going to see mess up for a while and make mistake after mistake after mistake, but not the type of mistakes that will send you home. And then he's just going to be like a bit of a train wreck and yeah, go home. Quite later on, I think. Okay, next we got Gabler. King Gabler, yes. He was really excited to use the spear gun. He was like, he felt like he was an expert, then he couldn't do it. That was funny. You have Gabler making the audience think that he quit. That was a good blind side on his part. I was very impressed with that. That he really made the audience think that he was going to quit, and then he didn't quit. I was so impressed by that. And then we have Gabler having them go through his bag, and then it made them all look stupid. It made Owen look stupid. So Gabler really had a good Edgic moment there, where they all went through his bag and were incorrect about the powers of the idol, making everyone except Gabler look stupid. So yeah, Gabler's the king of the season. I am so excited to watch him continue on, and he made us think that he was going to quit. He better not quit. He better be safe with that spear gun so he doesn't stab himself in the foot. He's safe with the next tribal council that he attends. I think he will play it on himself now. Gabler, I really, really hope that he's in this game for a while. I think he's going to be a lot of fun, and I think we're very much not done with him. I think he's an interesting casting choice, and I think casting made a very good call by casting him. I think Gabler is going to be an absolute king this season. He ain't winning, but he's going to be one relevant person. So next up we have Lindsay. Lindsay didn't get much in this episode. I don't even, did she have a confessional? I don't know if she had a confessional. But in the first episode, I really think that she had winner quote after winner quote after winner quote, and just like is such an Edgic frontrunner for me after that first episode. Like, after that first episode, like, if you want to kind of understand what I'm talking about, just go back and watch the first episode and just watch some of her confessionals. They just sounded like so winner-esque. Like she had like the perfect premiere episode of like your typical winner. And she got no confessionals in the second episode, which I think is a good thing. I think they think that they're doing a good job hiding that she's the winner, but I don't think that they're doing a particularly good job, actually. I think Lindsay probably has the best chance right now, and like from an edit standpoint rather than a positioning standpoint, I see the Lindsay win right now. That's kind of what I see. But yeah, that could change over time. Like I think Sammy still has a chance. I think Ellie still has a chance. I think Owen, to a smaller extent, still has a chance. And I think Cody still has a chance, and I think Carla maybe could have a chance. That's kind of how I feel about that. Lindsay, she didn't really get anything in this episode. I mean, I don't even know if they talked about her. Like the players didn't. She didn't get anything, but I don't know. Just from that first episode, I think her edit's gonna pick up. She has nothing to worry about for a while, and she has the best chance of winning the game right now based off of the edit that we're seeing, not the gameplay. So Sammy is next. I'm gonna talk about him next. So Sammy, Amazing first episode. Amazing first episode. I think the only thing, like, it did make him look a little bit cocky, a little bit arrogant, to some capacity, you know, and like, the editors were maybe just trying to have fun with him rather than pumping him up as this winner. But him getting the quote of, I'm going to be the youngest winner to ever play the game, pretty big winner quote. So when I say Sammy's still in contention, that's mainly what I mean. Anybody that talks about how they're going to win the game always has a strong chance of winning the game. So I do give Sammy a strong chance of winning this game. So Sammy, I mean, he got like a pretty decent amount of screen time tonight. I mean, we saw him like try and craft this like men's alliance, saying we gotta stick together. I don't know if that's actually gonna stick, but I mean, I guess we'll see. Like, based on what we saw from the preview, maybe like Gabler plays the idol in an effective way, either for himself or for somebody else, if he feels like he's not going to be the vote, to try and get Ellie or Janine out. And based on the edit that we're seeing, maybe he just tries and weakens Ellie and makes it feels like Ellie will just run to Gabler and want to work with him moving forward if he keeps Ellie in and votes Janine out. Whereas if he votes Ellie out, then Janine will run over to Gabler. Will not run over to Gabler, which will result in Janine and Gabler being like incompatible throughout the entire game. So I think, but like, I don't think Ellie's going to go home in that tribe. Because what's weird is, like, on the Baka tribe, they lose in another time. That tribe is, we know from the edit, they are going to another tribal council. We don't need to like beat around the bush. Everybody agrees with me. There's no way. There's going to be 4 more tribal councils before the fake merge. There probably is going to be a fake merge. I think they're going to tweak how they do it in Hourglass West. But at Final 12, I think there's going to be a fake merge. There's going to be 4 more tribal councils before that point. Baka is going to 1 more tribal council. They just are, based on the edit that we're seeing. It's inherently obvious. They're going to go to another tribal council. What I'm curious about is, will Gabler play his idol effectively and push for the vote to be Ellie or Janine? With the edit that we're seeing, probably going to be Janine. It's hard to find a reason why it would be Janine, but based on the edit that we're seeing, it doesn't seem like the editors want us to particularly love Janine. She's not someone that I think that they see as someone that we're supposed to be super invested in. So maybe Gabler will push for that. Or maybe everybody will just stick to their original plan of just trusting these women, which is really risky. I mean, Owen and Sammy, I don't know. I think that this all comes down to how well Ellie and Janine can play the middle. If they make... Because Gabler already kind of doesn't want to work with the women based off of the preview that we saw. And he has an idol. If he plays that on somebody else, he has a lot of power. I mean, he can play it on himself and be tyrannical. He can play it on somebody else and try and get the person that he wants out, because I think he may know that people probably aren't going to vote for him. And that would be a big move. But like, for me personally, it all comes down to how well Ellie and Janine can make Owen think that it's Sammy and make Sammy think that it's Owen. And if they aren't good at that, and if they keep both of them guessing, the two better work together and try and get Gabler to take out Ellie or Janine. It would, based on the edit we're seeing, it would probably be Janine. So I think that's a very strong possibility. And, you know, if Baka loses, like, again, we're kind of seeing this, you know, this tribe where we know that they're going to lose again based on the edit that we're seeing, but who's going to go home? You have, like, there's only one option. You have Ellie, who got a stacked premiere. You have Gabler, who is a king, iconic man, with the Zane Knight strategy, king. I don't need to elaborate too much on that. You have Owen, who had a lot of confessionals in the first premiere, and you saw his moment of his name being in the opening titles. We could just be set up for Owen being someone who won't win, but will be in it for quite some time. And then you have Sammy, who, you know, I don't particularly think he's going to win, but based on the edit we're seeing, I mean, it's possible. Actually, no, I'll take that back. Sammy has a really good chance of winning this game based on the edit that we're seeing, but he's also the type of person that I think still could easily go pre-merge. But if he makes merge, that'll cue me like, okay, he's going to be in it for a while, and he could very well win this game. Based on the edit that we're seeing, Sammy has a really good chance, I think. So, yeah, I just feel like on that Baka tribe, Janine has to be the vote. She has to be. I think she has to be going in the pre-merge, because that Baka tribe looks pretty weak in challenge. I think that those 5 are going to maybe have a hard time. They didn't have a hard time on Wednesday. They did not. In that episode 2, they literally got first place in the challenge. But that's going to be short-lived. They're going to go to another tribal council pretty soon. I actually think this next episode... Yeah, I think, yeah. I do. Yeah, I think Baka's gonna lose. Two tribes win immunity. Baka goes to tribal council. Where I think based on the edit that we're seeing, that they want to really hype up four of the five. Like Janine's just not getting any coverage. So yeah, I think Janine would probably go home. Okay, so next person I'm going to talk about is Ellie. I've actually kind of already gone through a lot of people. But what we saw from Ellie in this episode is building that connection with Janine, and we basically saw her say "Hey, nobody's playing the game," and then it just cuts to the three men of them saying how we're great, and we're gonna work together, and we're so smart for doing this because those two women think that they're in the middle. Haha, we're gonna prove you wrong. And they made Ellie look dumb, but there's no proof that what she said necessarily isn't true. Because I still think that that Ellie and Janine have the potential to make Owen and Sammy really do think that they're going to vote for the other person. And if that happens, we could potentially see this happening if Baka loses. Owen just votes Sammy. Sammy just votes Owen. And then regardless of... and then at that point in time, maybe Ellie and Janine just split their votes, and then Gabler can't do anything with his idol that's effective. That could potentially happen. But I don't know. I think Owen and Sammy might honestly be smarter than that. And Owen and Sammy, if you really think about it, they don't have a reason not to work with each other. They just don't. I just think that Ellie and Janine, more specifically Ellie, which is why I don't think Ellie particularly has anything to worry about. I think that they'd probably vote Janine out so that Ellie would run to them rather than vote Ellie out hoping that Janine would run to them. I think that Ellie would still work with them if she got blindsided by a Janine vote off, because I think it would. She can't be hypocritical about it if she feels arrogant that she's in a really good spot within the game. She can't get mad at getting knocked down a little bit based off of her positioning. But I mean, Ellie, just from an inspirational standpoint, she had that one confessional which really resonated with me, where she basically said. She said, throughout my entire life, I've been told that I'm an idiot, and I've really, believed that and taken it to heart. And I feel like I've done so many things to turn that around, and even then, that stigma still carries with me to this day. That really hit me, and I think that, a lot of people, including myself even, I think, a lot of people just underestimate how brilliant they really are and how smart that they can be. So I feel like I did, relate to that to a very high extent. So yeah, I think that Ellie, she had the most confessionals in the first premiere, and even in this episode, from an emotional standpoint, she looked really good. They made her look arrogant, but there's no proof that what she said is going to, not be the case. I mean, I think when I'm looking at it, I think that there's a strong possibility that, Sammy is just going to talk the talk and not walk the walk. I mean, I think that it's possible that if that tribe goes to tribal council again, which they will, I actually think they will in this next episode, Owen and Sammy just vote for each other, and then they both hope that they have the votes. That could very easily happen if Ellie's good enough at convincing them. And either way, I don't think Ellie's going to go home. She's not going to go home this early with the edit that we've seen. But yeah, I think that Janine could go home if that's a legitimate fear. That Owen and Sammy both have, so they decide to work together. So yeah, Ellie had a pretty decent episode from an emotional standpoint. There's no proof that she looked dumb in the edit because we just don't know. I mean, we're also not gonna blame Ellie for thinking that Gabler's idol was only good for the two tribal councils of the game. She didn't see the paperwork. Why should she look stupid for that? Nobody should. So next up we have we have Owen. Owen's an interesting one to me. So he got a vote at the first tribal council, and he got the second most confessionals. And yet I think people maybe will just ignore that. I think that looking at the grand scheme of things, though, I think from a positioning standpoint, it seems like he's on the worst spot in this tribe. But based on the edit, I don't think he's going to go home this early. I don't know. I don't particularly think so. So I think Owen's in a pretty good spot for right now. That might be short-lived. As a matter of fact, I think Baka's really bad in challenges. I actually think Owen still probably will go pre-merge because I think they're going to lose a lot. I mean, we did see in the last immunity challenge that they can hold their own. Like, they are good to some capacity, but I don't see that tribe doing particularly well. What's interesting, though, is, like, Ellie, Gabler, Sammy, and Owen have all gotten, like, so much, like, coverage to the point where it feels like they're making the viewers trying to make it seem like we really should be invested in them. I think that's a very strong possibility. If they lose once, does that mean Janine goes home? If they lose twice, does that mean that Owen would be the next one? Because based on what we're seeing, it just seems like Ellie, Gabler, and Sammy are getting hyped up way too much to be out of the game this early on. Which is why I think Janine probably just goes home if that tribe loses. Yeah. Because based on the edit that we're seeing, that's the only thing that I feel makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that. So Owen, yeah, strong first episode. This episode a bit weaker. He thought that he was 95% sure of something that wasn't the case. It was in the 5%. Maybe he did that intentionally to try and get them to want to vote Gabler over him, giving him a better chance. Because if Gabler, Owen has a 0% chance of surviving if he gets the majority vote, right? Well, actually, no. If he used the shot in the dark, never mind. So yeah, a 5 out of 6 chance of going home if he gets majority vote. But if they vote for Gabler instead of him, then there's a chance maybe he could stay because Gabler maybe would want to make a bigger move and not want to do the obvious thing, being Owen. Based on the edit that we're seeing, Owen going home isn't obvious, but based on positioning, it seems like it is. And then Owen can vote for anybody that isn't him, which means that Owen would have a better chance of surviving. So maybe Owen did that to try and draw votes on a Gabler. But if it wasn't intentional, then yeah, Owen looked a little dumb in this episode, but like whatever. Like he in the first episode he got so much coverage. I think he got the second most confessionals right behind Ellie, which I mean, yeah, maybe the winner is from Baka just based off of like the content that we're seeing, but just based off of the invisibility and like irrelevance, I think that like from a positioning standpoint, I think the winner's from Vessi, but from the edit we're seeing, that is the least possible scenario, I think. Well, I don't think it's particularly drastic. I think looking at it, I'm like, okay, on Coco, Lindsay has the best chance of winning. Not super obvious. Carla is close behind. On the Baka tribe, Sammy has the best chance, I think, a little bit over Ellie. I think Ellie's just a complex character, whereas Sammy has just gotten the winner quote, so has a bit better of a chance. And then on Vessi, I would probably say, at this point, probably Cody. So that's kind of how I feel about that. So yeah, that's how I feel about Owen. Cassidy's next. Cassidy didn't get a ton of screen time. Yeah, she didn't get a ton of screen time. I think that she's someone that could be in it for a while. There's not a particular reason why I think that she can't. So yeah, Cassidy's someone who, she didn't get much screen time in the first episode. I think she again didn't get really anything this time. Maybe they're just trying to hide her in the edit, but she doesn't seem like someone that's going to be particularly interesting in the macro. So I think she's going to go home pre-merge. Yeah. I don't particularly see her lasting, if I'm being honest. Just based off the edit that we're seeing, it doesn't seem like the editors want us to be super invested in Cassidy. Maybe it'll grow over time, but low-key, I'm starting to forget she's on the season, which I can't say about anybody else. But yeah, I'd probably say the Coco tribe is definitely the least complex, and then Cassidy's the least complex of the 6 on that tribe, so not good. Okay, next up we have Ryan. Ryan had a bit bigger of an episode this time. We saw that little exchange with Gio, with the whole almonds, where they aired that scene, and it was probably a moment for Gio, but Ryan was still present. He was still there. I think that he was seen a little bit in a better light this episode, but he's still something's just off about his edit. He just kind of has Ryan still just kind of has the edit of someone who the editors don't care about to a high degree. So I don't particularly think that Ryan can win. I think that he is someone who's going to go home early merge. And if he doesn't go home early merge, he might even go home earlier than that, because he's just not somebody, based on the edit that we're seeing, that he'd be someone that would last super long. I don't know. I don't see an end game with him. I think that he's someone who he'll probably get relevant screen time when it matters, but I don't think Ryan's going to be a focal point on this season, if I'm being real. Okay, next up we have Noel. So the most notable thing about Noel is she got blindsided by the vote. Her closest ally, probably Justine, was voted out, and now Noel's going to have to adapt from that, knowing, like, yeah, sure, there's, like, Jesse who, lied to Dwight, maybe unnecessarily, to be honest. He didn't have a vote, and, I mean, I guess that was just the safer move, so that Justine wouldn't, be told to play the shot in the dark. And then Noel was blindsided by the vote, and Noel could potentially be mad at Jesse. But at the end of the day, people will know that Noel is mad, and more mad than anybody else, and they might think Noel is most likely to flip come a merge. So that could maybe put Noel in a bad spot. But again, I think Vessi is going to do okay in challenges. I have some sense that they're going to lose one more time. But, like, looking at the grand scheme of things, NECA has just been so underedited, and, like, she wasn't even built up as this underdog person that we would really want to see stay. So part of me thinks that they'll just vote NECA out if they lose again as like a sacrificial lamb, or like a really easy vote, and maybe Noel will just be seen as an asset in challenges. But I actually think that Vessi will just never lose again. I think Coco will lose probably one time, then Baka will lose everything else. Or Coco will lose twice, and then Baka will lose twice. So that's kind of how I see this. I don't think Vessi's going to go back to Tribal Council, meaning I think all 5 of them will make fake merge. Because, like, Noel, just based off of the fact that, like, you'd assume that she'd be mad, like, everybody should just assume that she'd be mad. Why wouldn't she go home? But then again, based on the edit we're seeing, I doesn't particularly think that that's going to happen. It seems like Noel's going to be in it for a while. But I don't know who else in that tribe would go home. And even if Dwight went home, I'd be kind of surprised if Dwight went home this early. Yeah, sure, he's been given this dodo edit, but I think that's because the editors are trying to have fun with him, because he makes a lot of funny errors throughout the game, but still makes it, like, far-ish. And the editors want to, like, make fun of him leading up to that point. I don't know. But I just think that, like, Dwight's not someone that I expect to, like, go home right away. I just don't see that. So yeah, Noel, I'd assume she's in a bad spot in that Vessi tribe, but it seems to me like she's in a good spot from the edit that we're seeing. We seem emotionally invested in her, but she seems like such an obvious vote in that tribe. Her and NECA. So if they lose again, I'm going to assume based off of the edit that we're seeing that it's going to be NECA. But yeah, it could really be either of them. Dwight's someone they're going to want to have fun with more in the edit, and I think everybody and their mother knows that Cody and Jesse have nothing to worry about in that tribe, so yeah. Based off of positioning, I would assume that it would be Noel, but based on the edit, there's just no way. I think if Vessi loses again, which I don't think they will, I think that NECA probably goes home. So next up, the final person I'm going to talk about is the person that went home, Justine. So in the first episode, if you watched my episode 1 review, like if you've made it to this point in the video and you also watched my episode 1 review, I appreciate the hell out of you. You were awesome. But what I basically said in that video, Justine was like the last person that I talked about when I like deep dived everybody. I basically said about Justine that I got nothing from her in the premiere, and now we know why. Because she just goes home in the next episode, and like the editors really did want you to want Justine to go home. Based on the way that it was edited. I mean, like they have this whole flashback of this epic moment with Cody, and then it was just under Justine's demise. Like I feel bad for Justine watching, if I'm being real. Like they like hyped up Cody to such a high extent. Like, oh, big move, getting those beads. Now Justine can go home and you can have your vote in the process. It made Justine look not as good as everybody else. So. Yeah, it just sucks. If she had made it further in the game, she would have been probably so much better. I mean, she seemed like somebody that was like a triple threat coming into the game. So I think that Justine wasn't super interesting to watch. Based on what we saw in the final edit, and there was probably content we could have gotten that they didn't want the audience to see because we would have liked her too much and been too disappointed for her to go home. And if she had made it further, there would have been more content to see of her. So that's how I feel about everybody. I think I broke down a lot of the things that happened. The challenge was cool. 400-pound snake. That's heavy as hell. Like, I had no idea that it was that heavy. That's crazy. That's insane. Yeah, I really didn't know that. So yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so it was a cool challenge. Cody was the first person to find this beware advantage, so there are 2 more on the other beaches, and it's probably the same thing, right? It would be really cool if it wasn't, but they also would probably want to make it fair, so they'd probably make it the same thing. From a viewing perspective, I would like to see 2 different things, but I also know from a fairness standpoint and the integrity of the game, you got to make it the same thing. So they have to make it the same thing, even though I think it would be cool if it wasn't. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. I was really happy for Cody. Cody had a huge episode. I see Cody as a winner contender now. I did not after the first episode. Now I do. I think Cody absolutely can still win this game. The Baka tribe was fun. They're still getting set up to lose 1 more time, if not 2 more times, maybe 3 more times. I would not be surprised even if that was the case. But like looking at like what we're seeing, I'm looking at everybody and I'm like, okay, based on the edit that we're seeing, Gio is making merge, Janine is not, James will probably make merge, NECA maybe will not make merge, Carla will make merge, Jesse will make merge, Cody will make merge, Dwight will probably go home early merge but still make the merge, Gabler will make merge, Lindsay would make merge, Sammy, there's a chance that he doesn't make it to the merge, but if he makes merge, he's a serious winner contender based on the edit that we're seeing. Ellie is making merge, Owen is making merge, Cassidy, I don't think is making merge. I really don't think she will. Ryan, I'm starting to think won't make it to the merge. Now that I'm starting to really think about it and really like assess everything, I actually don't think Ryan's making merge. Noel probably making the merge. I have to, like, just from the edit we're seeing, it feels like that makes sense. So like looking at the grand scheme of things, like tonight, like on Wednesday night, episode 2, the Baka tribe was fun. We saw this whole like idol shenanigans, and then we saw the like Gabler attempting to quit, apparently, kind of seemed like he wanted to quit. That's what it felt like. And we spent a lot of time on that tribe to the point where it kind of looked like after the immunity challenge, I didn't even talk about that. After the immunity challenge was over, they cut to Baka before going to the Vessi Beach that lost the challenge. That was weird. That was really weird. I don't know why they did that. And it kind of made me think maybe Gabler's about to quit the game, but he didn't. So happy about it. Yes, he's the worst possible person that could quit. Oh my god. Yes. Okay, so Gabler didn't quit. So yeah, that's good. So yeah, the Baka tribe was fun. Coco tribe we just didn't get much from. Gio found an almond. How nice. So that's kind of all I felt about that. And then the Vessi tribe was, yeah, like obviously cool. Cody being adventurous, Cody finding the beware advantage, Jesse helping him out, Justine, the editors making us want her to go home. Yeah, I think it was a well-edited, well-balanced episode. I enjoyed it a lot. It was also an hour and a half. I don't know why. Very interested with that. Maybe we'll find out over time why that was the case, but as of right now, I have no clue why it was an hour and a half. So, yeah, I'm curious to find that out. We might find that out at some point. So yeah, with that, I got nothing else for you. That is my review of episode 2. I don't think I'm forgetting anything that was like relevant enough to bring up. No, I think we're good here. Yeah, we're like 42 minutes in, so that's fine. About to be 43 minutes. So with that being said, yeah, I got nothing else for you. JPP Productions. See you next time.